Hello everyone, this is CY once again. Thanks for joining me. What we're going to do today is actually to answer some of the questions asked from my subscriber regarding the espresso machine. Can the Delonghi Dedica produce good espresso or even froth decent milk to produce a good cup of latte or even cappuccino? Can it be done? I would say the answer lies a lot on the coffee grinder. So what we're going to do today is actually to pair the Delonghi Dedica with the DF64V, right? So that we can see whether it is a capable machine that's able to produce a very decent espresso. So let's start and get to it. Right, so as you can see here, we have this beige color Delonghi Dedica, which is sent to me by the Delonghi Singapore. Right, so we are now collaborating with Delonghi Singapore. Now we actually roast the coffee for them. So if you're buying the Delonghi machine recently, probably the coffee that comes with the machine is roasted by our company. So, and to the left is actually the DF64V, right? The variable speed RPM, variable RPM grinder, right? A 64 flat burr, right? It comes with a stock burr of a DLC burr, the diamond-like carbon. So what we're going to do today is actually to use the coffee bean which we have developed for Delonghi. So this is the coffee bags. We're going to use something like the Brazilian, right? Fazenda Delonghi, right? With a natural single origin, natural process. The tasting profile will be sweet, subtly nutty, right? With a whisper of chocolate. There's a bit of acidity, but it's within the acceptable level, which is a pleasant kind of acidity. So we're going to dial in using this coffee. Right, so let's get started. Right, so before we start, let me probably guide you through the Delonghi Dedica. Right, it is a single thermal block machine. Comes with 51 portafilter. Right, this is not the actual portafilter from the Delonghi Dedica. Right, I know the portafilter looks very similar to each other. In fact, let me show you. Right, this is the one that comes with the Delonghi Dedica. And the main difference is right, this one actually comes with the latte, right, which is a all-in-one, come with a hopper kind of machines, right? And this is the Delonghi Dedica. So you can see the difference between the two. Even though both are plastic, this definitely feel a lot heavier. So I think at least if you are considering getting the Dedica, right, you have to switch out the basket, right? You can see that the basket that comes with the stock Dedica is a pressurized basket. So how do you know this one comes with a pressurized basket? Right, you just have to look at the portafilter and the filter basket, right? So let me take out the filter basket and show you. Right, so as you can see, the one on the right has only one hole, and the one on the left, you can see there's a lot of tiny holes around there. And if you turn over, right, usually the pressurized basket will come with a rubber seal, right? If you turn over, it doesn't really look very different, but if you turn to the back, this will tell you this is the one that is pressurized and this is the one that's not pressurized. Usually we prefer this one, right? Because if you have a decent grinder like a DF64V, you do not need this pressurized basket, right? So I'll be using the one from the latte, right? There's not much difference between the two, right? You can see the inlet, the way they guide the espresso towards the hole, right? So this one, there's less guidance. So just flow through the two spouts over there. So, and I've measured the comfortable level for the latte basket is around 15 gram. And I will be dosing 15 grams of coffee and then grind on the DF64V. So let's test it out. Alright, so first let's measure 15 grams of coffee. When I open the coffee bag, it has a quite intense smell of the chocolatey and nutty flavor. Right, the roast, it also smell almost like milk chocolate. Right, the roast is towards the medium. Let me show you the roast level. Right, this is roasted to medium color. Right, so and to avoid static issue on the DF64V, which tends to be quite severe, right? So I have to resort to RDT. So just 2 squirts of water, right? Make sure you shake it. I know in my past video I don't use RDT, but the DF64V, I believe RDT is a must. Otherwise, the static will really be quite bad around the exit chute. Right, so let's put in the coffee and grind and see how it goes. So you can see with RDT, there's no coffee stuck around the exit chute. Right, basically it's clean. Right, there's no clumping whatsoever. There's no coffee ground attracted to the side. Right, I've dosed 15 gram, 15.1 grams. Right, probably there's a little bit of retention from the previous batch of coffee. Right, currently the grind setting is around 28, around 28. So that's the grind size now we are testing. Right, so let's turn on the machine. Right, as it's a thermal block machine, it heats up pretty fast. Right, the heating will probably take less than 30 seconds to get ready. Right, so as you can see that the indicator now is flashing. Right, as it flashes means it's getting the temperature up to the brew temperature. Right, should be ready pretty quickly. Right, so it's ready. So now again I'm going to use some accessories from the latte, which I find really convenient. I believe this is one of the greatest accessories from the Delonghi, especially if you're buying the latte, you probably have this already. And why do I say so? Because it not only make it less messy, right? Because now I can pour all the coffee into the dosing cup, and then I can do a quick WDT. Right, this will ensure that the extraction is more even. And I'll do a gentle knock on the table to settle the coffee. And the advantage of using this dosing funnel from Delonghi is that you can tamp through on top. Right, just a gentle push. Right, you don't have to exert a lot of force. Then do a quick spin to level the coffee. And that's it. Right, so you can see the coffee ground is pretty nicely tamped. Right, and now let's pull a shot. Right, the Dedica is on the lighter side. The full body is in plastic, so when you lock in your portafilter, make sure you hold on to it. And we'll first pour an espresso to see how the espresso is. Right, I'll bring you closer to see the espresso extractions. Very decent shot. Remember, we are only doing 15 grams. Right, the crema is really quite rich. Right, so that's our espresso. Okay, let me first taste the espresso, then we'll proceed to make the second cup of coffee with a latte or maybe a cappuccino. Let's see how it goes. Alright, let's taste the espresso. So let's get a spoon. Right, it's very good on the looks of the espresso glass. The espresso extraction is really decent. Oh, very balanced. There's a little bit of hint of bitterness at the back, but overall, the espresso is sweet, it's balanced, it has a taste of milk chocolate. And the acidity is very pleasant, so the shot is actually pretty well extracted. So the Dedica is able to produce good espresso, but of course, it very much depends on your grinder. Okay, let's take a look at the puck, to see whether it's dry. Okay, I would say it's a pretty decent extraction. You can see there's a little bit of tiny indentations over a few areas, right? So that could be causing a slightly uneven extractions. But on the whole, I'm pretty satisfied with um, the extraction so far. Right, the coffee knocked out nicely, right? And leave behind a little bit of coffee ground. Let's just clean this out, and then we'll do a second shot. For the second espresso extractions, let's do a quick measuring. The height from the base to the spout from the portafilter is actually there's actually not much height, so I couldn't use a standard cup. So I had to resort to use a slightly smaller cup because I'm actually placing a scale underneath to do the measurements. So let's tear this, right, and then let's start the time so that we will know how much output is within how many seconds. Seems to be slightly over extracted. It's dripping very slowly. Probably I have to grind slightly coarser, but nonetheless I'll just let it run. Right, this is already 40 seconds and I'm only extracting about 8 grams of coffee. So the earlier shot was actually better, even though the grind size is the same. Right, so it's extracting about 20, I would say about 29 grams to about 30 grams of coffee, right? Yeah, so it's about 30 grams. So the ratio is right, just that the time is off. So I'm quite sure that this espresso will be a lot more bitter than the one just now. But let's switch to the steaming mode so that we can get some milk steam, and then we try to pull a latte art and see how it goes. And because the Delonghi Dedica is a single thermal block machine, you have to actually switch on the steam, which is the button here on the far right. You have to press it, and then it will start to heat up the thermal block to the steaming temperature. And then this version of Dedica has also the improved steam wand, and it is no longer the plastic, the fake steam wand that actually comes with the more on the super automatic machine. So this one can actually do a proper frothing of the milk. You can see that now the steam button is stopped flashing, means the steam is actually ready. So let's see how powerful the steam is. Right, I would say the steam is pretty decent. Right, it's not so wet, not too wet. So I can see my hand is still dry. Right, but it's slightly still wetter than most of my professional machines. Right, but on the whole, I'm pretty happy. Right, so now let's get the milk ready and steam some milk. Do a quick purge. So with the improved steam wand, the frothing has been much more enjoyable. Right, just to share how the milk froth is. I would say it's pretty decent. So now let's see whether we can do some latte art with this foam. Okay, it's not too bad, right? So it definitely can texture the milk to the consistency that what I want, but it does take a little bit longer. And one more thing about this Dedica is if you decide to brew the second cup of coffee, right? And if you try to press any of the button here, it's not going to be responsive. And the reason is because now the single thermal block is trying to cool the thermal block down while you pull the second espresso. Because now, before that, the thermal block is brought to the steam temperature, which is around 120 degrees Celsius. But when you brew coffee, it is brewing at around 93 to 94 degrees Celsius. So it needs to cool down the thermal block. Hence, if you want to do a back-to-back espresso shot, this is fine. But if you want to pull a shot, steam the milk, the next espresso that you're going to pull, you have to wait for probably 2 to 3 minutes for the thermal block to cool down, right? So I have not really measured how long it takes for the thermal block to cool down to room temperature. Probably I'll do a measurement of time the next time, and I'll share the information with all of you. Right, so let's try the latte. Even though it's over extracted, but because of the milk, I think it does make the coffee swing to the really chocolate and nutty side. It's actually quite nice. Right, so I hope you like our content so far. Right, so I've shared with you the Delonghi Dedica. So let me know if you have any questions on the Delonghi Dedica or any of the Delonghi machines. Well, we'll be glad to answer the questions. Right, so I'll see you in the next one. Right, probably the next video I'm going to make is the new machine that I'll be reviewing, which I'll be receiving on this coming Friday. It's pretty exciting, and I'm really excited to work with this company. Right, so I'll review it when I receive the machines and share more information with all of you. Right, thanks for joining me. This is CY once again. I hope you like what we are doing, and if you like our video so far, do consider subscribing and then share our videos and like our videos. And I'll see you very soon.